Kevin Costner just told everyone about the 7 actresses he loved working with the most. Not many actors have made such a great career by having real special chemistry with the women they act opposite, the way Kevin Costner has. For almost 40 years now, this strong, handsome star has created some of the most unforgettable love stories on the big screen. He brings a warm, real feeling and a true connection that feels way deeper than normal movie acting. Costner has a very rare gift as the main guy in movies, explained a director who has worked with him on lots of different films over many years. He truly cares about the women he acts with. He sees them as real people, not just co-stars. He stands up for them when no one is watching, talks them up in a big way during interviews with reporters, and makes the set feel like a safe, comfortable place where they can show real emotions without being afraid. That's exactly why his on-screen love stories feel so true and touching. There's real respect and kindness hiding under all the acting. What makes Costner's friendships with his leading ladies extra special is how he has always lifted them higher throughout his whole career. In Hollywood, where people often compete and act selfish, Costner has used his big fame over and over to make sure his female co-stars get the same big names on posters, get treated fairly, and get real chances to be amazing. Even when the big bosses at the studios kept pushing for someone younger or someone they thought would sell more tickets. When Costner really believes in an actress, he fights like crazy for her, said a casting director who helped choose people for several of his biggest movies. I've watched him say he would walk away from projects worth millions of dollars if the studio tried to replace the actress he picked with someone they thought looked more sellable. That kind of strong loyalty is super rare, especially from a famous male star who stands up for his female co-stars like that. The most telling thing is Costner's own honest words about the actresses who meant the world to him, both at work and in his heart. In interviews he did over many, many years, he has talked very openly and from the heart about the women who pushed him to be better, inspired him deeply, and created pure magic with him right there on screen. These aren't just polite "thanks for working with me" comments. They are warm, emotional tributes that show which partnerships really touched his soul in a big way. What makes Costner different from lots of other leading men is how comfortable he is being honest about his feelings, noticed a film critic who has sat down and interviewed him many times. When he talks about the actresses he's worked with, he doesn't sound fake or give boring, prepared answers. He speaks straight from real gratitude for exactly what each woman added to their movies together. The special little things that made their love stories feel so real and alive to everyone watching. In the next few minutes, we're going to look closely at 7 incredible actresses who earned Costner's biggest respect and love. These are women whose amazing talent, inner strength, and honest realness created pure movie magic when they teamed up with Hollywood's #1 classic leading man. These weren't just normal work partnerships. They were deep, meaningful connections that changed Costner's career forever. And for some of them, they even touched his personal life too. But first, let's talk about how a famous singer who had almost no acting experience at all became not only Costner's most famous and loved co-star ever, but also someone he fought hard to protect, supported completely, and later spoke about with the deepest, most lasting love anyone could imagine. Whitney was scared. Arguably, the biggest pop star in the whole world wasn't sure if she was good enough. Music won Whitney Houston a bond way beyond The Bodyguard. When Kevin Costner fought so hard to get Whitney Houston as his leading lady in the 1992 movie The Bodyguard, almost nobody in Hollywood understood why he wanted her so badly. Whitney was already the biggest singing star on earth, but she had never really acted in a movie before. The studio bosses kept pushing for famous actresses who already knew how to act, but Costner refused to give up. He actually waited more than a whole year until Whitney's busy concert tour finally gave her time to say yes to the role. Costner saw something extra special in Whitney that almost everyone else missed, explained one of the producers who worked on the movie. It wasn't only her stunning beauty or her superstar shine. He noticed a soft, natural shy side hiding under her strong, confident stage personality, and that fit the character Rachel Marin perfectly. He put his own huge career on the line by betting everything on her, which was an incredibly brave and trusting thing to do since she barely had any acting practice. That big trust turned into real, everyday help during filming. Knowing Whitney felt nervous and unsure about her acting skills, Costner became her biggest cheerleader right there on set. He stayed late after shooting to practice lines and scenes with her, made the whole set feel like a safe, kind place where she could try big emotional moments without fear, and protected her from all the harsh, judging eyes that come with starring in your very first major movie. Their friendship grew bigger than just normal co-star stuff very quickly. Remembered one crew member who was there every day. Costner turned into a mix of teacher, bodyguard, and true close friend. He completely understood the extra heavy pressure Whitney felt, being a black woman stepping into a mostly white Hollywood world, being a singer trying to prove she could act, and being a superstar whose every single move was watched and talked about. He created a warm, safe space on set that let her real, natural talent come shining through. That protection even covered one of the most famous scenes in the whole movie. When Whitney got worried about showing her face with no makeup at all in the very last scene, Costner looked her in the eyes and personally promised her that her natural, real beauty would make the perfect, soft, touching ending to their story. Even when lots of people pushed back hard, he strongly supported her idea to sing "I Will Always Love You" with no music at all for the very first verse. That brave choice helped turn the song into one of the biggest-selling singles in music history. What made their connection so extra special wasn't only what happened in front of the cameras. It was Costner's rock-solid support that kept going long after the movie finished, said someone who knew both of them well in the film business. As Whitney's personal struggles started showing up more in public, Costner never pulled away or said anything selfish about her hard times. Instead, he quietly reached out to her in private, offered real help, and always respected her privacy. That deep loyalty reached its most touching moment at Whitney's funeral in 2012, when Costner gave a speech that brought tears to millions of people around the world. With tears in his own eyes, he shared sweet, private stories from their time working together, showing everyone how deep their friendship really was and how much he still believed in her incredible gifts. "You weren't just pretty, you were as beautiful as any woman could possibly be," Costner said during his emotional speech. "People didn't just like you, Whitney, they loved you." He finished with the simple, from the heart words, "I will always love you," repeating the song that had become the heart of their movie love story. That beautiful funeral speech proved what people very close to them already knew, noticed the film historian. Costner and Houston shared a real bond that went way past the usual short Hollywood friendships. He didn't just protect her while cameras were rolling. He protected her memory and her legacy forever. Even after she passed away, he made sure the world remembered her huge talent, her bright light, and her struggles, instead of only focusing on her sad ending. For Costner, no other leading lady after that ever quite matched the unique, once-in-a-lifetime magic he found working with Whitney Houston. Their teamwork gave the world not just a giant blockbuster hit, but one of the most famous and loved love stories in all of movie history, and a real friendship that lasted strong right up until her very last day. "You going? After 12 years in the minor leagues, I don't try out. Besides, I don't believe in quantum physics when it comes to matters of the heart." "What do you believe in then?" To Susan Sarandon, chemistry that went way past the screen. When Kevin Costner and Susan Sarandon created the sexiest baseball love story ever in 1988's Bull Durham, they invented a brand new style of on-screen romance. One built on smart, quick talking back and forth, deep mutual respect, and a hot, burning attraction between two people who were true equals. Their electric chemistry as minor league catcher Crash Davis and baseball-loving Annie Savoy created such real heat that people talked for decades about whether they had a secret romance off-screen too. What Costner discovered in Sarandon was his absolute perfect match on screen, explained a film critic who has written tons about their amazing work together. She matched him perfectly every single step of the way. Her sharp brain, strong confidence, and natural sex appeal created a rare kind of female character who doesn't just stand around helping the man's story. She has her own full, exciting journey that's just as important. Costner has said again and again that she challenged him more than anyone else he ever acted with. That back-and-forth challenge from both of them made a kind of movie romance you hardly ever see. Instead of the usual setup where the man has more power, Costner and Sarandon built a relationship where neither one is in charge. They circle each other like equals, each seeing the other as a worthy opponent and maybe even the perfect partner. Costner once called Sarandon the smartest, sexiest woman I've ever acted with, remembered an entertainment reporter who interviewed him many times during that time. What made those words extra powerful was that he praised both her brilliant mind and her sexy energy as equally important. In a Hollywood that often forces women into being either the smart one or the pretty one, Costner's full appreciation for every part of Sarandon stood out in a big way. Rumors about a real-life romance between them have lasted for years and years, kept alive by their obvious chemistry and the way they sometimes gave each other knowing, warm looks during interviews to promote the movie. Neither of them ever confirmed anything romantic, but Costner has always spoken about their time together with extra warmth and fondness, making people think their connection went deeper than regular work friends. There was something magnetic pulling them together that the script could never fully hold, remembered one crew member who watched them every day on set. Even when the cameras weren't on, the way they looked at each other had a closeness and intimacy that you simply can't fake. Whether it ever turned into a real romance is something only they know for sure, but the true affection and huge respect everyone on set could see was impossible to miss. What's really special about Costner's feelings for Sarandon is how strong they stayed long after Bull Durham was finished. In interview after interview over the decades, he keeps naming her as one of his all-time favorite co-stars. He doesn't just talk about how great she was in their movie, he also praises her courage for taking on difficult, controversial roles and for always standing up and fighting for the things she believes in throughout her whole career. The heat between them wasn't just good acting, it felt personal too, concluded the film historian. Whether their connection stayed only professional or turned into something more for a short time, one thing is very clear. Sarandon was truly special in Costner's long career. She was a woman who matched his star power perfectly, pushed him to be a better actor, and earned his deep, lasting respect both during filming and many years after. Their scenes together are still studied as a perfect masterclass in how real, honest chemistry can turn a good movie into something completely unforgettable. Do you know how old I am? Care, I'm not a girl anymore. You're the handsomest woman I ever saw. 3. Annette Bening, the dream co-star that almost was. In the big list of amazing movie pairs, sometimes the most interesting ones are the dream teams that never actually happened. Even though Kevin Costner and Annette Bening never starred together in a major film, Costner has named her over and over as an actress he deeply admires and always wished he could work with. She's been his dream co-star for years, and he has praised her special talents warmly in many interviews across decades. Costner's big admiration for Bening tells us a lot about what he really values most in the women he acts with, explained a casting director who knew about several times they almost worked together. She has exactly the mix he loves, emotional smartness combined with quiet but powerful strength. He once described her as having the kind of quiet power that floors you, which shows how much he respects actresses who can say so much with just a look or a small moment instead of big, loud acting. That admiration showed up when Costner personally pushed for Annette Bening to get roles in several of his movies over the years, even though busy schedules and other movie problems always stopped those dream teams from actually happening. The biggest almost was when Bening was reportedly Costner's #1 choice to play the female lead in Tin Cup, the part that ended up going to Renee Russo. What Costner loves so much about Bening's acting is her incredible ability to show deep, complicated feelings inside while keeping a calm, controlled outside. Said a director who has worked with both of them separately. That style would have fit perfectly with Costner's own way of acting, where he also hints at big emotions under a calm surface. They both believe in real, honest acting instead of big, showy performances. Even though they never shared the screen, Costner has gone out of his way in many interviews to give loud praise to Bening's amazing work in movies like The Grifters, American Beauty, and The Kids Are All Right. It's pretty unusual for an actor to speak so highly about someone he never actually worked with, and it shows his respect goes way beyond normal, polite Hollywood talk. If I could pick one dream co-star I never got to work with, it would be her. And Costner said once when someone asked him which actors he wished he had teamed up with. That comment, coming so many years into a career already filled with great leading ladies, shows how deep and lasting his respect is for Annette Bening's unique gifts. What makes Costner's feelings for Benning especially interesting is that they come purely from watching and loving her talent. There's no personal friendship or shared memories mixed in, noticed the film historian. Unlike the stories he tells about actresses he actually filmed with, his praise for Benning is 100% about her craft, her skill, and the special things she brings to every role. It's admiration in its cleanest, most professional form. As both of these talented stars keep making great movies, the idea of a Costner-Benning team-up remains a fun, what-if question that movie lovers still dream about. A pairing of two experts in quiet, real emotional acting that could still happen someday if the perfect script comes along. Until then, Costner's steady, warm praise over the years reminds everyone that sometimes the deepest respect in Hollywood is the kind that sees and celebrates true greatness, even when you never get the chance to work together. Woman that I married but can't figure doesn't believe there's any world, but this one still believes all horse has got a soul somehow that's music. A gal for me for Diane Lane aging into cinematic magic when Kevin Costner and Diane Lane finally got to share lots of important screen time together in 2020's Let Him Go. They created something really rare, a movie marriage that shows all the depth, complicated feelings, and still burning passion that can last for decades in a real long-term relationship. Even though they had small parts together before as Superman's adoptive parents in 2013's Man of Steel, this later movie finally gave them room to build one of the most honest and touching pictures of grown-up love ever put on film. Costner has spoken about Diane Lane with a very special kind of respect and warmth, noticed a journalist who interviewed him while they were promoting the film. He described their connection as deep, grounded, and very rare, qualities that fit perfectly for actors in their 60s playing characters who have shared a whole lifetime of ups and downs. What made their on-screen marriage feel so powerful was that both Costner and Lane brought the real weight of their own lived lives into every scene, creating a relationship that truly felt shaped and strengthened by many years of real joys and real hardships. This honest, lived-in feeling didn't happen by accident. Costner specifically asked the filmmakers to cast Diane Lane for the role in Let Him Go because he believed her perfect mix of toughness and soft vulnerability would make the ideal partner for his quiet, hurting character. The beautiful chemistry they created ended up being what a lot of critics called one of the strongest and most moving parts of the whole movie. She brings real life into every single scene, Costner said about Lane during interviews for the film. That simple sentence shows how much he appreciates her gift for keeping even the biggest dramatic moments feeling emotionally true and honest, a quality that matches Costner's own natural, down-to-earth acting style perfectly. What made their pairing extra meaningful was the timing, explained the film historian. Both Costner and Lane have kept amazing careers going strong even though Hollywood can be really mean about age, especially to women. By building such a powerful, believable love story together in their 60s, they proved that romantic chemistry and deep connection don't belong only to young actors. Their quiet scenes together carry so much depth and real feeling because every look, every small touch, and every unspoken moment is filled with the wisdom that comes from decades of actual living. Costner and Lane pulled off something very hard. They made audiences completely believe in a long marriage without needing tons of backstory or long explanations. They truly aged into something magical, observed the culture expert. What Costner clearly values so much in Diane Lane is how completely comfortable she is just being herself at this stage of life. There's no fake attempt to look younger, only the real, rich beauty of a woman who has lived a full life and brings every bit of that experience into every frame. His deep appreciation for this shows a mature, refreshing way of looking at his female co-stars. He values them exactly for who they are right now, not against some impossible young standard. The big success of their work together in Let Him Go has started conversations about maybe doing another movie someday, and both actors have said they would love to find the right project to build on the strong foundation they already created. For Costner, Diane Lane feels like the perfect scene partner for this later chapter of his career, an actress whose life experience, acting, skill, and emotional honesty line up exactly with his own. Their pairing feels like a beautiful high point, concluded the film critic. After so many years of playing romantic leads opposite all kinds of actresses, Costner finally found someone in Lane who could truly match him step for step in telling a love story that honestly faces all of life's complications while still celebrating the lasting power of a deep, real connection. Their work together reminds us that the most touching on-screen relationships aren't always the youngest or the most glamorous. They're the ones that show true human life in all its messy, complicated, beautiful reality. I shouldn't be penalized for that. I know that, Sonny. I'm not the mom of the year type either. I don't know how to pack a lunch. I've never changed a diaper. God help me. The one thing I do understand, Sonny, is football. 5. Jennifer Garner. Unexpected chemistry in the sports world. When Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner were chosen to star in 2014's Draft Day, almost nobody expected their working relationship to grow into such strong mutual respect and such surprising, natural chemistry on screen. The movie is a sports story all about NFL draft deals and business, so it didn't look like a big romance movie at first. But Costner and Garner somehow created something extra special that went way beyond what the script originally planned. Costner has said he was honestly surprised by how well their chemistry clicked, shared someone who was there during filming. He called her a complete professional and absolutely glowing in interviews. But people working on set noticed something more. Her scenes with him seemed to light him up and give him extra energy in a way that went past normal work respect. There was a real spark between them that didn't all come from the script. It grew naturally from the way they played off each other. That spark felt extra amazing because the movie was mostly about football deals, not love. The relationship between Costner's team general manager and Garner's salary cap expert could have stayed a small side story, but their moments together turned into some of the most loved parts of the film for many critics. Real, warm connection shining through the sports drama. Garner brought out a side of Costner that hadn't shown up in some of his more recent movies, noticed a film critic who reviewed Draft Day. There was a fun, playful, almost boyish charm that came alive when they were together on screen. You could actually see him reacting in real time to her natural warmth, her quick intelligence, and her easy smile. It didn't feel like just acting. It felt like genuine enjoyment of a scene partner who was fully there, fully present, and connecting with him on every level. Costner has spoken many times about how much he admired Garner's strength in holding her own in a movie full of men talking football. In a story mostly about guys and sports, her character could easily have been pushed to the side or turned into just support for the man's journey. Instead, Costner kept praising how Garner built a character with her own power, her own deep knowledge, and her own emotional story. She made football feel romantic. That's real power, remarked the culture expert. What Costner saw and loved in Garner was her gift for bringing true feminine energy into a very masculine world without making either side feel smaller. That perfect balance really spoke to Costner, because his best movies often mix tough, brave man things like courage with softer, smarter emotional understanding. The respect between Costner and Garner didn't stop when the cameras turned off. During interviews to promote the movie, people noticed how easy and warm they were with each other, the kind of natural friendship that clearly started while they were making the film. That off-screen friendship turned into on-screen chemistry that lifted their little romance subplot way above the usual Hollywood love story formula. What's really interesting about Costner's admiration for Garner is that she comes from a younger generation of actresses compared to many of his past leading ladies, noticed the film historian. Their age difference could have made things feel strange or forced, but instead it created a beautiful two-way respect. Garner clearly looked up to Costner's long career and experience, while he really valued her fresh, modern way of seeing things and acting. That balance made their relationship feel equal and real both on screen and off, and audiences loved it. Even though Draft Day isn't one of their most famous movies, the surprise chemistry Costner and Garner found together left both of them, and lots of viewers, wishing they could do it again someday. It's a sweet reminder that sometimes the strongest, most memorable movie relationships pop up in the places you least expect them. All right. No, just a couple American kids. No unusual travel, but just some atypical. Strain of 6. Renee Russo, the cool factor meets its match. When Kevin Costner and Renee Russo teamed up for 1996's Tin Cup, they made a romantic comedy that turned the usual boy-girl rules upside down in a fun way. Playing the relaxed, not always trying golf pro Roy McAvoy and the smart, successful psychologist Dr. Molly Griswold, they created a love story where the woman had equal power, and sometimes even more than the man, which felt fresh and exciting for a romantic comedy back then. Costner has often said that Russo was one of the only actresses who could outcool him right on screen, remembered a director who knew both stars well. He loved her bold, strong presence and the easy, natural confidence she brought to every role. In Tin Cup, that cool confidence was super important. Russo had to make a character that audiences would believe could push back against Costner's charm at first and then fall for him on her own terms, without ever giving up her independence or her sharp mind. That admiration showed up when Costner made sure Russo's character kept her professional strength and respect all the way through the story. When early versions of the script had her character maybe giving up her job or her values just for the romance, Costner pushed hard for changes so both characters could stay true to themselves while still finding a way to be together. What Costner really responded to in Russo was her amazing ability to be strong and warm at the exact same time, explained the casting director who worked on the film. Lots of actresses can do one or the other really well, but Russo brought both in perfect balance, creating a character strong enough to stand up to Costner's charming, laid-back golfer while still letting real softness and growing affection show through. That balance was the key to making their love story feel real and worth rooting for. Costner especially loved Russo's complete fearlessness as an actress, her readiness to take chances and push scenes further than the script first imagined. That matched his own acting style perfectly, creating a partnership where both felt free to try new ideas and play in the moment. She never blinked, and he loved that, observed the film analyst. What Costner appreciated most about working with Russo was that she never let his big star power make her back down or change her ideas to fit his. She came with her own strong vision, challenging him to step up and meet her instead of the other way around. That mutual push and pull created some of Tin Cup's very best scenes, moments where you can see both actors fully alive, listening and reacting to each other in real time. Beyond just her acting, Costner has always spoken with real admiration about the smart choices Russo made in her career and how she handled an industry that can be really tough on women as they get older. Her ability to keep working on her own terms, picking interesting parts and avoiding getting stuck in the same kind of role, earned his respect during Tin Cup and kept it for many years afterward. Costner's feelings for Russo show his bigger pattern of respecting women who stay true to themselves in a business that often tries to box them in, noticed the cultural historian. Throughout his whole career, he has been drawn to actresses who bring a clear, strong sense of who they are to every role. Women like Russo who refuse to be made smaller or simpler just to fit Hollywood's narrow ideas of female characters. Their work together in Tin Cup gave us one of the most believable, satisfying, and fun romantic pairs in all of Costner's movies. A relationship audiences could really care about because both people stayed true to themselves while still finding a real, deep connection. That equal balance is exactly what Costner has always searched for in his leading ladies, which makes Renee Russo one of his most valued and respected partners in creating honest, real movie romance. You came down here. You knew what you were doing. You knew this would happen. 7. Joan Allen, the transformative partner. When Kevin Costner starred opposite Joan Allen in 2005's The Upside of Anger, he put himself in a very different place than usual, playing more of a supporting role while letting Joan Allen completely take over the movie with her powerful, show-stopping performance as a hurt, angry, drinking mother of 4 daughters who has been left by her husband. His willingness to step back and let Allen carry the emotional weight of the film showed how much deep respect he had for her talent and how much trust he had in their chemistry, even when the usual leading man in charge setup was flipped. Costner has said the movie only worked so well because Joan brought real weight and truth to every single second, remembered a critic who talked to him right after the film came out. That compliment means a lot coming from an actor who spent most of his career being the center of every story. With Joan Allen, he saw right away that her incredible performance would lift the whole movie, including making his own work as the semi-retired baseball player who gets close to her character even better. That understanding shaped the way Costner played every scene with her. Instead of trying to match her big intensity or pull the spotlight back to himself, he gave a perfectly balanced supporting performance, relaxed, charming, and steady enough to balance out Allen's wild, stormy emotions without ever taking anything away from her as the true heart of the movie. Many people call it one of his most underappreciated performances, and he happily gives Joan Allen the credit for inspiring it, said the film historian. What makes Costner's work in The Upside of Anger stand out is how generously he plays off of Allen's lead. There's no competition, no attempt to steal focus or fight for emotional attention in their scenes. Instead, he creates a calm, centered character who perfectly complements her turbulent, emotional journey, letting her performance shine even brighter and stronger. Costner has been very open and honest about how working so closely with Joan Allen actually changed the way he acted in this film. In several interviews, he admitted that her total commitment to raw emotional truth in every moment pushed him to dig deeper and find new layers of feeling and vulnerability in his own character, things he hadn't explored as much in his more typical leading man roles. She made him better, and he knew it, said an acting coach who has studied both of their work closely. What's really remarkable about Costner's relationship with Allen is how completely comfortable he is giving her public credit for lifting his own performance. There's no ego or need to act like he was the main creative force. Instead, he speaks with real gratitude and admiration about how her extraordinary talent opened up space for him to discover new sides of his own acting craft. That mutual lift between them created one of the most honest, lived-in on-screen relationships either of them has ever had. A middle-aged romance between two broken, messy people that skips fake sweetness and cold cynicism to show complicated, painful, beautiful truth. Critics pointed out that their scenes together had a lived-in quality you rarely see in Hollywood love stories, especially ones with stars in their age group. Costner's appreciation for Joan Allen shows how his idea of partnership in movies has grown and matured over time, explained the cultural analyst. Early in his career, his leading man roles usually put him as the active hero, while the women mostly supported his journey. With Joan Allen, he happily stepped into a more equal, balanced dynamic where both characters' emotional paths carried the same weight, creating a much more grown-up and satisfying kind of movie romance. This change shows Costner's growing respect for actresses who bring real complexity and raw honesty to their roles, qualities that Joan Allen shows in every single performance she gives. His willingness to publicly praise her influence on his own work proves he's secure enough in his own success to celebrate his female co-stars without feeling smaller himself. The Joan Allen, Kevin Costner partnership stands as a very mature, thoughtful way to show romance on screen, concluded the film critic. Instead of depending on usual good looks or classic love story cliches, they built a relationship based on honestly seeing and accepting each other's flaws and strengths. Costner's deep admiration for Allen's ability to bring completely unfiltered truth to every moment highlights the value he has always placed on actresses who choose realness over glamour, a value that has guided his choices of leading ladies throughout his long, incredible career. Here.